Welcome to my YouTube channel. I know that you're wondering where I am at. I'm behind the camera and I'm talking to the one and the only Mr. Sifiso Mufukeng, Mr. Mshengu himself. Man, how are you doing?
I'm good, Mulife, my brother. How are you?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. It's nice to see you after some while, eh?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a very long time, in fact.
I know that you are a comrade and now you are busy fighting for the student, as always, my brother.
Yeah. It's always been like that, man. We were born for this thing. We were called and we answered. So yeah, it's those kind of vibes. So yeah.
No, thank you, my brother. I know that you're a busy man, and thank you for taking this time to do this interview with me. I really appreciate it. So the reason why I wanted to do an interview with you, man, is for people to know you better. You know when you are in leadership, sometimes because of the issues of the student, people have certain perspective about you, and others they misunderstand who you are as a leader. And some other people also forget that you are Sifiso before president. So if I may ask you, man, if you for people who are watching, who is Sifiso Mufukeng?
So Sifiso Mufukeng, I'm a student at the University of the Free State Fontaine campus.
Sure.
I hold my first degree from the University of the Free State, QwaQwa.
Sure.
I'm from Gauteng. And then I'm Mufukeng, I'm Mshengu at the same time. So it's a person, I'm one of the few guys with two surnames. Yeah, and then I first arrived at UFS in 2018. I've been in student leadership since 2018, of course, first year.
Sure.
And of course, I've led in various positions and platforms. So yeah, what I can say about myself is that I'm a very shy person. But if I'm comfortable with a person, I get to speak around people that I know. But yeah, so also when I'm shy, I use gestures and those kind of arrangements. But then outside of it all, I'm a very, very friendly person. It depends on how the person approaches me or they speak to me. And I'm a person that believes in giving everyone an opportunity.
Sure.
Yeah.
By the way, happy belated birthday. I know that was it on Wednesday?
Yeah, it was on Wednesday, my brother.
Yeah. No, happy belated, my brother.
Yeah, it's appreciated, of course.
Yeah, no. So tell me, Vetu, tell me now, when I first knew you, I thought you were just a Zulu guy from KZN, because if you are Swiss, obviously, you have to be a Zulu man. But now you have a Mufukeng name. What's the history behind? Is your father Sotho?
No, it's my maternal surname. So with the Mufukeng surname, so I've got two surnames.
Sure.
But then I opted to use the Mufukeng surname.
Okay.
Because of my grandmother, my mother's mother. It was my mother's surname. Even my mother is no longer using it.
Oh.
So I'm the only one at home that uses that surname, and it's in honor of my grandmother because she's late. And then of course I was one of the most precious things that happened to my grandmother. So when I found out that how my grandmother was like with me, so I decided to say, no, let me not change my surname too, but instead let me live to honor my grandmother's memory, because she had like 12 or 13 grandchildren, but I was one of the few that got the pleasure and the opportunity to be shown great love by her, because she was a person that was attached to me in a way that sometimes it makes me emotional. So everything of mine, I do it, and I do it for her. So yeah.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And you can only know this information on Skosa Hamle YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Obviously. No, that's beautiful to know. What's your second surname?
My second surname is Shabalala. It's my father's surname, of course.
Okay.
And then everyone at home is using that surname, of course. And I'm being forced currently to use that surname as well.
Obviously,
but
your pop's name.
Yeah, so even my identity, I feel like it's linked to being a Shabalala. But after everything was settled, because there are processes to changing a surname, payments, and what. So after everything was done, I still had the view that no, I'm fine, with this surname. Even now, my aunts and my father and everyone at home, they want me to change, but I'm still like,
sure.
But probably before I get married, I might be fully Shabalala, but because I want people that will continue honoring my grandmother, there are chances that I might not change. But of course, I know who I am. I'm Mshengu and I'm Shabalala, I'm Tongalama Vus and stuff like that. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's how
beautiful.
it is.
That's beautiful. So knowing you, that I was surprised that you know so many languages.
Yeah.
How did you grow up though? Because like for me, it's like Fela, when I listen to you, you can engage with people who speak Sotho, you
Yeah.
can engage with people who speak Zulu. You also know how to speak Afrikaans. That was a shock to me. So what's the background behind? Like, is it where you were born in terms of school-wise, or in terms of being multilingual? Can you give me
So
an info?
growing up, I've stayed at. In fact, I was born at Heidelberg Gen.
Okay.
So as a person that was born at Heidelberg Gen, it was the nearest hospital at that time.
Okay.
So Heidelberg is an Afrikaner town, of course, next to Vredendal on the other side and Vosloorus on the other side.
Sure.
And then there's Nigel on this side. So me being born at Heidelberg, when I grew up, I was attending like schools that have English, Afrikaans, and all these other languages.
Okay.
So, I think at around grade 4, we're given the opportunity to choose a language for ourselves. Our parents had to choose a language that we needed to study or learn.
Sure.
And then out of the picture, the language that I had to choose, or that was more like for me, it was Afrikaans, because I felt like I needed to expand my, And then growing up also, the other reason that makes me speak Sesotho is because my mother, her sisters and brothers, they speak Sesotho, of course. And then the Zulu part is the being me part. It's the language that my father's family speaks and the way it is. But out of it all, I tried to blend in all these situations, and then I got to learn these languages. And I think I know about 6 or 7 languages.
Damn, man, that's great. That's very impressive. I've seen how you engage with elderly people, especially around the campus, and I think you have said this maybe on your WhatsApp status, if I'm not mistaken, that you have a very good relationship with abantu abadala. I think also it's because of how you grew up, and giving the background of you growing, having a good relationship with your grandma. I think that's one of the reasons you are so good with in terms of respect and everything. Is it true?
Yeah, those are one of the contributing factors. The way I grew up in a space whereby I had my grandmother,
sure,
my father's mother, she was Xhosa, by the way.
Okay.
So I also had like family members or relatives who were domestic workers and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I would see how they are treated by children of those they work for. So from that I learned to appreciate and love old people, because as a parent who's here, there are parents that clean res, that guard the institution.
Sure.
They're not here because they want to, most of them. They're here because they have to put the bread on the table of their children. So it was the same instance for my family members that were at that point or stage. So that's why I always appreciate like old people that work for the institution and old people outside of the institution.
Sure.
And also I've always been that person that believes that respecting older people or elders extends the opportunity of life, because there's a scripture in the Bible that says that respect your mother and your father so that your days of life can be extended. So I believe in that so much, and I don't see myself having an altercation with an older person, despite the fact that sometimes you are pushed. Maybe say you are engaging with management and you end up, but me, I don't think I've had a situation where I had to insult an older person, because even the bouncers, I believe that you engage them, tell them properly, well, you came to protect the property of the university.
Sure.
Leave us alone. Let us continue with what we're doing. So that's the kind of relationship that I've always had with older people. I believe that we need to speak issues instead of trying to insult and disrespect.
No, much respect to you, man. I think it says a lot about you being as a leader and just being a human being at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So moving right along, I want us to talk about your journey in terms of varsity. Did you choose to come to QwaQwa campus, or it was the last option like everybody else, or what really happened?
Oh man, I finished matric in 2016, and
Sure.
2017 I went to University of Limpopo.
Sure.
But due to financial reasons, things did not work out properly.
Mm.
In 2018, I came this side. When I came this side, that is when, like, everything of mine. Okay, I came here for Bachelor of Education.
Sure.
So when I arrived there, for the first few days, I had struggles and stuff like that. So by the time I got money to register cash, Bachelor of Education was full. Now I've always wanted to be a teacher. So when I got the assistance of money, that's when I got space in B admin. So me being a person that loves, I've always growing up, I've always had an interest in governance. I think even my knowledge with current affairs is I'm very insightful in terms of issues that are currently happening around the country and the world. So that also was a contributing factor to me saying, no, I'll do a B admin instead of become dev. And then I started in 2018 at the University of the Free State QwaQwa. Of course, there were other institutions like TUT that had admitted me, but because of the space that there is in TUT, my father did not like it for me to go there. But my brother was studying there, of course. Even now, he's still studying there. He's doing, I think it's post something, it's post diplomas, advanced something. So, from that perspective, I was able to see, this thing is, it's not for me.
Sure.
So, out of TUT, I think, because I think there were 3 universities that accepted me. UWC in the Western Cape. So, financial constraints were the ones that prevented me from going to UWC. So I had to settle for QwaQwa. Then me settling for QwaQwa, I fell in love with the place, the course that I was doing, and then I had to
But like coming from Joburg, I mean, adjusting to a place like QwaQwa, how was it difficult, or it was like a breather for you to be away from the cities? And now you see this nature, mountains, and everything. How was it?
At the back of my mind, when I left home, I thought I was going to Bloemfontein campus. I really, when I applied, I never knew that I was applying for the village.
Okay.
I thought, because of course these campuses of UFS, we usually categorize them into 3.
Sure.
We've got the city, we've got the village, and the desert.
Sure.
Campus. So when I applied, at the back of my mind, I had that I'm going to the city of roses. And when I arrived, when I first saw the board, I saw there was a board that says University of the Free State, welcome to QwaQwa. And then those stones there. And then I realized, no, I'm underneath. But then, because I knew what I wanted, I came, I stayed for like 7 days without registering. It was very tough. We stayed at res, and then on the following week I registered and then settled in everything. I had to choose between res and off campus, and I heard that there was a lump sum.
Sure.
So I ended up staying off campus.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think, when you make it in life, I think especially in leadership, a lot of people think that it was easy for you to get where you are. And I'm glad that you are here to share your story, that even on your first year, you had those challenges, like a typical first year whereby you have a problem in terms of registering and all of those things. So it's nice to hear that. It's really nice to hear that. So can you say that your first year was a worst experience, or for you it was one of those experiences?
First year was out of the entire 4 years that I spent in QwaQwa. I think my first year was, even academically, I was not good. I was not that good because I had 60s. So I think that in my first year was my worst year. If we were to say between the 4 years, which one was worst? The first year was the worst because, of course, even financially and stuff like that, because I got funding late and stuff like that. So first year was one of the worst years that I had in QwaQwa, but it has been worse. I think 2021 and first year, between the 2 years, 2018 and 2021, those 2 years, I'd say they were very tough for me.
Did you think that you're going to survive, like having a half first year? What was in your mind? Did you think that you will settle the way you?
I think it's the way I passed some of the modules. Because I remember in June 2018, July, when we got marks, I was doing HR by that time.
Sure.
I was one of the few people to have passed HR. We were in class of 70 or something.
Sure.
And then in that class, only 20-something passed, and I was part of that 20-something. So I realized, my things, it seems like I'm destined for even greater things, because then from there I never looked back, and then I went on until 2021, of course, when there were challenges that would look like they were going to collapse me, but they didn't. But then after passing all my modules at first year, I saw, okay, this thing, I'm going to finish it. Of course, there was also people who were inspirational to me, like your Tolile Kule, the former chairperson of FFSC, was doing the same degree as me.
Sure.
And when I first had a look at his academic record, I realized I can be resolute and resilient at the same time like him. So that's how it all happened.
So if you would give one advice to first year student now who are saying, I don't think that I can adjust, because remember, moving from high school to come to university, it's a huge adjustment that you need to have. So if there is going to be a one first student who's going to be watching you, what advice can you give them in terms of adjusting to university and believing in themselves that they are destined for great things, like you have just said about yourself?
I think a person must not change who they are.
Okay.
You must first be true to yourself, and then post that. Make sure that you ask. It's the same advice I'd give to a person that goes to a class. When you stand up and ask a question, you will have nothing to lose but everything to gain. So I think with first years, use the support services that are made available. You know, there's so much great things that are there. There are labs, there's CTL. CTL comes in many parts and divisions. There's right side, there's academic advising, there's UFS, there's everything. So from that aspect, I would advise a first year to use whatever they have at their disposal to become something great in life. That's all I'd give to a first year. Because if you were to expand, confuse them further.
Beautiful. So moving right along to the next section, the one that I think most of the people are going to be watching this interview because of politics. How did you get to politics, man? I mean, your passion for politics, it's out of this world. If you may share with us, how did the journey of being in politics start?
I think at TEF in 2017 at the University of Limpopo, I was exposed to. There, you had no choice. Everyone was EFFSC, so I got exposed to it. And then when I left that side and came here, I first met Masupa Hlalele during orientations, of course, and then he was that charismatic leader. So when I first saw Hlalele and the way that he acted as a leader, you know, I got so impressed that I had, immediately when I saw him, in my first class for ELAE, by Mrs. Palisa Silepe, she asked us, what do you want to achieve before leaving this university? So I told her that before leaving, I'm going to be the president of the SRC. And then, from there on, I never looked back. And I think in 2018, I arrived here. On the 5th of March, it was on a Saturday, I met the chairperson of EFFSC, Kule. And then I joined. There was a branch launch and stuff like that. And then from there, I attended their programs to see how things are done. And then in 2019, there was a bit of a collapse. And then in 2019, there was someone I knew, Olani. I knew Olani in 2018. So when I knew Olani in 2019, we met again. I gave him my idea of EFFSC, and then he said, no, that's the same vision that I have for EFFSC. And then after that, Olani and myself started doing membership, launching and everything. And then in June the 9th of 2019, historically, I can never forget that day, I was elected as a branch deputy secretary of EFFSC for the University of Free State, QwaQwa. And then after that, I never really looked back, because in 2019 I contested to be the secretary of the SRC. I gave my manifesto in the Mandela Hall. And then after that, I think everything happened. That's why I got most of the support and numbers. And then my journey of politics has been long, of course. There's been a time whereby we fought for students to get academic record, and at that time we're still not even SRC. And then in February 2020, before lockdown, the university paid allowances 2.6 for first semester for books allowance only. So we took students to amphitheatre, and then from there went to the SRC, submitted a document to Student Affairs. There was still Mr. Vugala. And then when we submitted to Vugala, they had a financial working group meeting. And then from that meeting, they came back and told us that, the request that we wanted has been approved. So from there, we got the support that we wanted as a political organization. And then, I think we never looked back, and then everything went smoothly.
So if I may ask, what was the motive, or what was the drive, or the love actually behind you being involved in politics? What difference did you wanted to see in terms of being in a political space? What changes did you want to see by being part of politics?
I think my involvement in politics was inspired by the fact that I got funding in June instead of Feb like all other students, even though my NSFAS portal was showing that I'm funded. So I got angry and frustrated towards politics and everyone in politics. And then I joined to see that if there are first years that are going to come and face the same situation I'm facing, I don't want to see that anymore. I came to ensure that they cancel what they call the 960 breakage deposit, because there are people that don't have it. I came to ensure that there are things that change in terms of the way transport was administered and everything. So out of the discourse, most of the things that I always wanted to achieve were achieved, but it's just that they are there and there. So me joining politics, it was to change primarily, or the core reason was because I wanted to change the situation that I was faced with as a first year, to ensure that the environment is accommodating. Because there would be times when I had no funding, I would want to be alone. There would be times when I walk, I would feel confident when I'm alone instead of with other people. Because I would feel like these other people, they've got all the funding and all the things they need, and they are suppressing me. So I felt like when I'm alone, I'm fine. So from there, I grew. So I grew out of it, and then I grew love for seeing other people, strive and becoming something. So yeah, that's how I joined politics.
Wow, beautiful, man, beautiful. So moving right along, let's first track the process. In 2020, you campaigned for the CSRC, which is the Campus Student Representative Council. How was the campaign, man? Because I think you made an impact in the campus with that campaign.
No, there it was clear as APC from day one in 2020 that we were going to take over.
Sure.
So we started our strategic campaign there. In fact, 2020 was one of the best years in my life, because there in 2020 I had all the support that one would need to become president. So in most instances, I felt like there was no need for me to campaign, but we did, of course, campaign. So we reconfirmed to the students our commitment to ensure that we serve them. The campaign was based around ensuring that all other candidates that I was with win, and myself will win. So the campaign, if I was to describe the campaign, it was something else. We got love and support and appreciation. Everywhere we went, no one would reject us, because in previous years we went campaign, then someone would, we've already spoken to us or whatnot. So at that time when we arrived, we'd get, even people would come and sing with you outside, and welcome you inside, and then you'd get to speak to them. So it was one of the best campaigns in my life, because I've had other campaigns outside of the one that we had for ourselves. We go to other campuses and university, and because even now currently I'm serving in some provincial structure, so from time to time I get sent to other campuses in the province. So at that time, I think that was a very firing campaign. We had everything, without t-shirts, of course, without resources, but with everything that we had inside, the power, the confidence, we were able to,
No, beautiful. I think students spoke then. They were in need of a change, and that is what they voted for. So let's also fast track again. You get into the SRC office, you win all the seats, and then how was the SRC journey for you, and how did it change you as a leader and as a person?
I remember for some time in 2019 I was looking up to Sakile. So with me looking up to Sakile, when I first asked him, what's your advice, he said, ensure that you yourself as a character, as a person, profile yourself properly. You don't look at any other person or any other thing, just look at yourself and ensure that students are happy. So from that advice, I was only able to take one thing, that to ensure everyone else was happy. So with me, things became quite different, because there was a time whereby I was president of the SRC, of course, and then I had to unite everyone within the SRC to ensure that we have one goal and one vision. And then with me doing that, we aligned very well. Of course, we had challenges here and there, but we dealt with the challenges swiftly, and then everyone was compact. Even now, I feel like my term, one of the reasons why we were able to do some of the things we did was because we were intact as a team. Because even when you call at night at 11 and say that there's a break-in at Chabel, the entire SRC would respond in the group. Everyone would have a role and a say in saying this is how we must respond to the call, and 1, 2, and 3.
Sure. I think which also speaks about the kind of leadership you had, and also you as being a leader, because I believe that it's not easy being in the SRC as well. Speaking for myself, I think it is very hard to make sure that each and every student is satisfied with their issues, but you managed to make sure that most of the challenges that students had, they were able to be resolved. So I want to ask you this question and put you in a hot seat. There's a question here and I want you to be as possible. So here's the question. It says, what are your views about the state of campus this year in terms of first years and student population in general, in terms of what is happening right now?
I feel like the SRC is taking longer than they should to adapt by looking at the time in which they came in. they came in at a time that is very difficult, registrations. Yeah, so I think they're still going to face more challenges like your private accommodation, crime gets very rife in QwaQwa during the year, of course, and those are one of the things that you'd face. There would be evictions, there would be issues related to academics and tests and all those kind of things. So I feel like the SRC, it was too early for the SRC to mishandle the issues that they faced already. And then also I feel like they need to broaden their argument. They are very argumentative. There's one person in the SRC that I trust. There's Simpuegnen. He's very sharp-minded, and he's one person that I have confidence that he'd be able to solve some of the issues. But now my concern is that their argument in some instances are not as sharp as they should be. So I feel like they need to work more on being a team, also because they have seen serious divisions within them. So they also need to work on that, ensure that they are aligned and their goals and visions are aligned. From there on, there's nothing that they will not conquer. I've also given them an advice that they should protect each other by everything they have. And so far, they are trying to do that. So yeah, I think that's that.
No, beautiful. And I think it's very important as someone who has been in the office, who has experienced some challenges and was able to conquer some of them, to give such an advice. So I want to put in a hot spot, right?
Sure.
Again, with another question. Moving from politics, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about the personal level things that I feel like most people also want to know about yourself. Hey man, you are very private.
Yeah.
I tried to Google you to look for some Mugozinyana.
You will not manage. I wanna mortgage you.
You are a very private person, man.
I'm very discreet.
Yeah, but for the sake of my viewers, I'm just gonna ask you this question. Be able to answer on the spot.
Okay. Let me put my hands in my pocket.
There is
for
this stigma of politicians actually, or around the campus, that hey, I'm a comrade normal. Libisi ka busi mona lenzima. So I want to know, are you in a relationship as you speak? No, this is a typical politician.
I don't know.
No, putting you on the spot.
I'm not sure, man. Yeah, I'm not sure. I was in a relationship. I was in a serious relationship.
Yeah.
But it did not end well.
Yeah.
It ended, and then me dropping that person and that person dropping me. From there on, I was very hurt, and now I don't really trust it whether I'm in a relationship or not. But they are. But I got very hurt. I think for 2 or 3 months I was sort of nursing myself from November until now in Feb, I think. Last month. And then those around Valentine, those days, and then I got before Valentine, by the way. So I was not sure whether the relationship was genuine, but it's still continuing now. But it's a arrangement, as a person. But of course not on the QwaQwa campus, and not But let me not give much detail. But it's here in QwaQwa, and it's someone that I love that person, but.
I know, guys, you've heard it. I've tried to ask.
So, in fact, I'm also not sure. Let's just say I'm not sure.
You're not sure. So there is no proper answer in terms of this question. I also have another question. Is it true that in your term, right, you had more than one girl when you were still in the SRC office? Because there's a lady who's actually asked me to ask you this question. How many women did you have then?
Did I have?
Yeah.
No, I had one woman.
It was one woman.
I had one woman since 2019. September 2019, and then me and her, we took a mutual decision after robust engagement to agree that we had to end whatever we had.
Yeah.
I think it was last year, November or December.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much. No, man, I'll just end it right there. Thank you so much, man, for being part of this interview. I really appreciate the time that you took just to talk with us.
There's a question that I did not answer properly. And when that person sees that answer that I give now,
you are below.
I'm going to be below.
No,
In fact, I must tell her now that there was.
You're a politician. You'll find a way out. How do you want people to remember you when it's said and done?
I think I want people to remember me. They must be genuine.
Sure.
They must remember me for my actions and some of the things that I did for them. As in life, you'll never be able to touch everyone's lives.
Sure.
But I want those whose lives I've touched to remember me in a genuine way, in a way that I touched their hearts.
Sure.
Yeah.
No. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This was QwaQwa sitting with Mr. Mshengu himself.
And,
man, thank you so much.
And
what do you want to say?
It's Mshengu there on Instagram.
Oh, you're giving them your handles. You travel on Facebook. Where do they find you?
Facebook, my friends are full now. I've got 5,000 friends. I can't remove some. So yeah. So yeah, Facebook it's full, but Instagram they can follow.
They can follow you.
City Mshengu, and then yeah.
Thank you so much. This is QwaQwa. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you like, you comment. And yeah, man, this is the great man. And I'm telling you guys, one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, but I know that our time is already up. Man, the level of skill you have for communication.
No, some things you are born with them. You are born with them. You need to accept when it's given to you.
No, I think this guy was engaging with management on another level that I cannot even describe myself. But anyways, thank you so much, man, for joining. Until next time, see you. It's QwaQwa.